Have you heard everyone is saying AI is a bubble?
Tech leaders seem to be suggesting that the AI boom might be heading for a bust. The CEO of Google is joining what are growing warning calls.
Billions pouring in, charts going vertical, investors acting like it can't lose. But what if it's not a bubble at all? Well, everyone argues bubble or not, they're missing the real story. What if around $1.8 trillion aren't inflating like a balloon, but slowly vanishing into a black hole, never to return? And the real danger isn't that it might burst. It's possible there may be no clean way out. On the surface, you can see the headlines: record NVIDIA profits, OpenAI everywhere, trillion-dollar valuations. It looks like classic tech growth, but a lot of it is money spinning in circles among the same small group of companies. This is one of the most expensive financial merry-go-rounds in history.
Guys, let's be real. AI is a bubble, and that shit is going to burst. There's literally no other scenario. There's no conclusion that could happen here besides all of this shit crashing down.
Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI and unofficial high priest of the AI cult, just randomly admitted that, yeah, this might all be a bubble.
And its gravity is already pulling in people who thought they were safe. From pension funds to old-school giants like Oracle. If you think I'm scaring you, sorry, but no. Michael Burry, the guy who called the 2008 crash, says that just like back then, everyone will say it was obvious only after the tipping point hits. Today I want to show you why this isn't just a bubble you can wait out. It's a slow reshaping of the entire global financial system around one industry: AI. Before we go on, one quick thing. I'm not giving you financial advice. This video is education and opinion. My goal is to show you how the system works, not to tell you what to buy or sell. Your money decisions are your responsibility. Let's start with the question Wall Street should have asked. Where does NVIDIA get record revenue if its main customers are buying chips with money that partly comes from NVIDIA itself? It sounds absurd, but this loop sits at the center of the story.
So the entire US economy is just 7 companies moving $1 trillion back and forth to each other.
It has a name: circular financing. In simple words, money leaves one pocket, comes back through another, and gets booked as growth. Quick example. You give a friend $10 as a gift. A minute later, that friend buys lemonade from you for $10. You pocket the money. Look at my business. Sales are exploding. But nothing new ever entered the system. You just moved your money from one hand to the other, then took it back.
Here you go. Thank you so much. Here you go. Thanks. Thanks so much. Here you go.
According to Financial Times estimates, circular financing may account for a significant portion of NVIDIA's revenue. Exact figures vary by source, but what's revenue on paper? Is a money-go-round built from your own cash? Now watch how this looks in AI. One key name: CoreWeave. NVIDIA invests money into CoreWeave. Said another way, it buys a stake in the company. CoreWeave uses that money to buy NVIDIA chips. On NVIDIA's books, that shows up as sales. Then OpenAI pays CoreWeave to rent those chips. CoreWeave takes OpenAI's money and buys even more NVIDIA hardware. You see what just happened? NVIDIA puts cash into CoreWeave. CoreWeave uses that cash to buy NVIDIA chips. Firms like Grizzly Research argue NVIDIA is, in practice, helping to finance its own sales. In the eyes of investors, demand is exploding. Revenue is vertical. They snap up NVIDIA stocks. This isn't just a normal market anymore. It's a stack of deals inside deals, and each one makes the company look richer than it really is. Now AMD joins the game against NVIDIA, and Broadcom builds the networks and custom chips that keep it running. Simultaneously, OpenAI suddenly turns into a big investor in its own suppliers. From the outside, it looks like new money is flooding into AI. Look closer, and a lot of it is the same cash, cycling faster and faster through suppliers and back as revenue. While everyone stares at NVIDIA's chart and OpenAI's demos, other giants step quietly onto the stage. Microsoft, Amazon, SoftBank. They don't just clap from the side, they pour in tens of billions. It looks insane. According to the Wall Street Journal, a funding round in early 2026 valued OpenAI at around $830 billion. In 2025, it made roughly $13 billion in revenue. That's close to 60 times sales. In human terms, it's like buying a house that only pays itself off through rent in 60 years. So why do they do this? With NVIDIA, you can say they sell chips. But what exactly are these giants buying here? The answer is where the money goes. On paper, big tech is investing in OpenAI. In practice, they're building a golden cage. Most of that money comes with one condition. OpenAI has to spend huge chunks of it on the investor's own cloud. You give me billions, I run my AI on your data centers, your storage, your GPUs. From the outside, it looks like Silicon Valley teaming up to build the future. On the inside, it's way too locked. One of the most powerful players to a few infrastructure providers. OpenAI looks independent, but every new investment squeezes its throat tighter. The more money it takes, the more it owes in long-term contracts and minimum spend deals. What feels like help is really control, not startup support, a slow takeover through dependency. And that raises a simple question. If all this money must be spent on cloud, who actually builds those data centers? Who pays the power bills? We'll get to that in a second. First, one personal thing. I make a video here every week. The channel is still small. Honestly, what keeps me going is seeing a handful of likes and comments on each video. So if this breakdown helps you make sense of what's happening, please hit like, leave a comment and subscribe. It really does support me and tells the algorithm that videos like this are worth showing to more people. My goal is simple, to help you see the real mechanics behind this fast-changing world. Now, let's go backstage and see who really pays for this illusion. On paper, AI looks weightless. Charts, clouds, code. In reality, it's brutally physical.
Funnily enough, your data isn't actually in the cloud. It's in a place like this. This is Microsoft's data center in Dublin, and it is one of the largest in Europe.
Millions of servers stacked in metal halls, hectares of land on the edge of cities, gigawatts of electricity pulled from the same grid that powers your home, and bills that you ultimately pay. So who builds those data centers? Wall Street funds like Blackstone and KKR quietly buying up land for huge complexes. One big data center can draw as much power and water as a small state. Servers need constant cooling or they burn. OpenAI alone has reserved 40% of all global RAM production capacity. Other giants are racing to build their own stacks. Power grids weren't built for this. They need upgrades. Who pays for that? The citizens, of course. On paper, it's infrastructure spending. In real life, it's taxpayers and regular customers. You see it as higher taxes, new fees on your bill, or quietly rising base rates. The costs of this race are spread across millions of people, while a few companies burn gigawatts to train models. Right now, the real limit for OpenAI, Anthropic, and the rest isn't ideas or even cash, it's computing power. There isn't enough hardware, power, and space to do everything they want at the speed they want. Which raises one more question. If the physical side is this expensive, how do these companies still show record profits? On the surface, tech looks unstoppable. Record profits, buybacks, historic quarter headlines. Under the hood, there is a quieter trick. Michael Burry, head of Scion Asset Management, the same guy who bet against housing before 2008, noticed something troubling. Tech giants quietly changed how long their servers last, from 4 years to 6, which is allowed by accounting rules. But analysts from places like Barclays and Burry himself say it creates paper growth. By Burry's estimates, Oracle's reported profit looks 27% higher than reality. Skeptics call it accounting magic that hides the fact hardware becomes obsolete faster than it pays off. But what does that mean? Imagine you buy a car for $100,000. Before, you would write off its cost over 4 years, $25,000 a year, right? Now you spread it over 6, about $17,000 a year. On your books, your yearly profit jumps by $8,000, but the car didn't get stronger. It might die within 6 years. With servers, it's the same idea, only worse. NVIDIA releases new chips constantly. Old hardware loses value much faster than a 6-year schedule. So on paper, the business looks healthier than ever. In reality, part of that profit is just stretching numbers, not building real lasting value. Let's zoom out. You have circular financing pushing revenue up. You have accounting tricks pushing profit up. At the same time, cracks appear in the ecosystem. Reports from outlets like Reuters say relations between OpenAI and NVIDIA have grown tense. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CEO, watches as Sam Altman talks about building his own chip fabs. And as Google and Anthropic push their own hardware, OpenAI looks for ways to depend less on NVIDIA. On the surface, they look like allies. Underneath, you can see the strain. Some reports even suggest future NVIDIA investments into OpenAI may depend on OpenAI actually turning a profit. If that doesn't happen, part of the promised money may never arrive. So what happens if this structure stops working smoothly? It might not be one big 2008-style crash, more likely a slow wave of startup closures, private funds quietly marking assets down, and a long realization that the chunk of the growth was just an illusion. So what is this really? A scam, a bubble, or a new reality we still don't know how to read? In one sense, it's simple. The AI race is a new kind of Cold War. Not armies, but governments fighting through corporations. The United States can't afford to let China with advanced AI. So the state, one way or another, backs this machine at a strategic level. We think we're watching private business. In practice, it's national strategy playing out through markets. But the high-end AI market is super concentrated. Only a few companies can make GPUs on NVIDIA's level. Only a few can run clouds at that scale. Their cooperation is baked in. Here is nuance. Most revenue for NVIDIA, Oracle, and OpenAI still comes from real clients outside the circle. Circular deals aren't the only income. The system isn't fully closed, but those internal loops add a glow, an illusion of endless growth that bends the whole market around it. Can anyone just stop this? No, it's already too big, too important for governments, too deep in the economy. So the real question isn't how do we stop it, it's how do we live with it. The answer isn't to run from tech. If you stay totally outside it, you don't get safer, you just go blind. The only real defense is understanding, seeing the difference between real value and money doing tricks in the circle. If you're scared of losing money, remember, in this new reality, the bigger risk is losing your ability to understand what's actually going on. The world is changing fast. Our job is to track those changes and fold them into how we live, save, and vote. I really hope this video was useful. Please hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and lets me keep making deep dives like this. Thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next one.